Welcome, everybody. My name is Carla James, and I am with the Rose Foundation. And I want to welcome you to the 9th Grassroots Convening. This is the 9th time. I'm really glad and thankful that you all are here. I know we all work too much, and we have families, and we try to balance all of that. And it's really difficult to carve out an entire day. So I really do appreciate that all of you made this time today. And my wish for you is that it's productive, that you get energized from it, and that today you have fun. So let's try to keep the fun in mind. This convening every year is a highlight of my year, because I'm so awed and inspired by you. Mostly I read what you're doing on paper, either a grant proposal or a report, but you really do inspire me. You teach me about cutting edge issues. You teach me about interesting strategies to approach, those issues. You teach me about, the wild spaces that you all are working so hard and passionately to protect. And more than anything, you teach me about tenacity. I've never had a grantee come to me in the 16 years I've been working at the Rose Foundation and say, hey, we lost that lawsuit. I guess we'll just give up. Nobody's ever said that to me. They call me and say, we lost the lawsuit, now I need more money so we can appeal. That's what they say. This opportunity is important for me to connect with you all. So even if I'm busy, even if I'm talking to somebody else, just tap me on the shoulder and say, hi, I'm so-and-so with this group, because this is really my opportunity to put your face with, your name and the emails and your voice on the phone. So I want to connect with you all today. Okay, so I want to tell you a little bit about who's in this room. This is a group of people from all of the Rose Foundation's California Grassroots funds. So that includes the Northern California Environmental Grassroots Fund, what we refer to as the Grassroots Fund. It also includes the California Wildlands Grassroots Fund, which we call Cal Wildlands. And then it also includes our Community Leadership Project grantees, which are environmental and social justice groups, 9 groups in the Bay Area. So for the last 11 years, the Grassroots Fund has been supporting small grassroots groups working on pressing environmental issues all over the greater Northern California area. For the last 12 years, Cal Wildlands has been working with grassroots groups to preserve California's wild places and, the native biological habitat. The Community Leadership Project is a part of a larger initiative funded by Hewlett, Irvine, and Packard, and it's to empower and build the capacity of groups serving low-income communities of color. And like I said, the Rose Foundation's been working with 9 groups for this iteration, about almost 2 years now, and we have a third year yet to work with those groups.
Good morning, everybody, and let me just kind of say what she said, what he said. It's just, as always, an honor and a privilege to be in the same room with all of you who really are the environmental movement. Any advances that have ever been made to protect our environment, and by that I mean people and the planet, because the people are the planet, is because of you and the tens of thousands of others of you in groups all across this country, and as we're learning all across the world, that are really not only winning environmental advances, but also ensuring that they don't get rolled back and that people actually do what they say they're going to do. So thank you as always for what you do, and it's great to be here. And also just thanks to the Rose Foundation. The California Wildlands Fund has partnered with Rose for, 8 years on doing this convening, something like 8 or 9 years. And we moved our fund to the Rose Foundation about 2.5 years ago, and I just can't thank Carla and Jasmine and the whole team for getting me through when my email box doesn't work or whatever little whiny thing I have to say to them. They're always there and doing a great job and really getting them. As soon as we make a decision, those checks go out, which is, as I don't need to tell you, really important. Somehow over the years, what has devolved to me, which is a happy task, is I get to read you a poem. And I don't know how this started, but I'm going back to a poem that I found when I was still living in Washington, D.C., where I'm a Californian. as are both my parents, that I spent a lot of my adult life in Washington, D.C., and I found this poem when I was living there, and it actually made me cry because it made me miss home so much, and it feels also sadly relevant to what we're experiencing with our drought over these past 2 years. It's by Dana Gioia, who is the poet laureate of California, and is, I think, also from Los Angeles, like I am. It's called California Hills in August, and I think this could be now California Hills any month of the year. So here goes. I can imagine someone who found these fields unbearable, who climbed the hillside in the heat, cursing the dust, cracking the brittle weeds underfoot, wishing a few more trees for shade. An Easterner especially, who would scorn the meagerness of summer, the dry, twisted shapes of black elm, scrub oak, and chaparral, a landscape August has already drained of green. One who would hurry over the clinging thistle, boxtail, golden poppy, knowing everything was just a weed, unable to conceive that these trees and sparse brown bushes were alive. And hate the bright stillness of the noon without wind, without motion, the only other living thing, a hawk, hungry for prey, suspended in the blinding sunlit blue. And yet how gentle it seems to someone raised in a landscape short of rain, the skyline of a hill broken by no more trees than one can count, the grass, the empty sky, the wish for water. So thank you, Dana Gioia. So I get a very happy task today. I'm going to introduce the Institute for Conservation Leadership to you, and Amy Kincaid and Peter Lane, who will be your trainers, are going to do their own personal introductions. But I wanted to talk a little about the Institute for Conservation Leadership, because as I said, I lived in Washington, D.C. for many years of my adult life, and ICL theoretically is a Washington, D.C. group. They are inside the hated Beltway in Tacoma Park, Maryland, which is the Berkeley of the DC area. But they are not, as you, I hope and know you will find out today, they're not a DC organization. ICL was founded as a project in an organization more than 25 years ago because at that time there was no organization devoted to building the capacity of grassroots groups and environmental groups and leaders, particularly independent groups that weren't affiliated with a major green group, to help them build their capacity, learn how to be better and more sustainable, provide better and more sustainable leadership, and kind of just be as effective as possible. And ironically, that was 25 plus years ago. I don't believe there is no other group working at the national level whose mission is you guys. And ICL, because it's based in Washington, tends to work more on the East Coast, and it was really exciting that we were able to get them to come out here, because even here in California, it's a real statement, I think, about the priorities sometimes of funders, that it's very hard to sustain an organization whose mission is building you guys, so you can do the best job possible. And the great thing there are many great things about ICL, and I have to disclose, I was actually the interim director of ICL in the mid-1990s when Executive Director Diane Russell had her daughter Kaisa, who is now a senior at Mount Rainier High School, I think. So it was a long time ago, but I've known ICL for a long time, and when I was an interim director, I met folks like you, but they were on the shores of Lake Superior. They were in the Gulf Coast of Louisiana and Alabama. They were in Georgia. They were in New England. They were in Ohio. They were in the hills of Western Pennsylvania doing exactly what you guys do against the same kinds of odds. And, thank goodness they're still there doing it. ICL's mission is to support them. Number two, ICL doesn't come into this with a prescription for what you should be. Here are the 10 steps of where a group should go, and here's what you should look like tomorrow. It's like, no, it's really about helping you all figure out what does it mean for your organization to be the most effective organization it can be? What does it mean for you as a person to be the most effective leader you can be? And I will tell you, I think there's one thing I can safely say is that the answer to those questions will never be work harder. Like, if you just put in more hours, you would be better. I think you're not going to hear that as an answer to anything. And the second thing that I think is really notable about ICL, is that when you leave an ICL training or process, you're going to have something to do. This is not theoretical. It's like, well, if you could raise $200,000, then you could get that database and you could do all this. It's like, no, the goal is to give you something that you can do now. You could do it you can do it in your head as you're walking home or as you get on the subway or however you're getting home. You could start doing it when you go to the office tomorrow, or actually not tomorrow because that's Saturday. On Monday, when you go to the office, you could start to implement. And that's kind of the real commitment to meeting people where they are and also to creating peer learning networks. So it's not just experts telling somebody what the best way to develop. It's like using the wisdom of the room, and they've created a room that's nationwide and done some amazing, I think have also really been committed to taking the cutting edge learnings about organizational development of adult learning and being able to make it available to grassroots groups who, unlike corporations or really big nonprofits, can't afford to access that stuff. So it's really my pleasure to welcome Peter Lane, who's the program director at ICL, and Amy Kincaid, who's the senior associate, here to the Grassroots Convening in the Berkeley of Berkeley. And I'm going to hand over the day to them, and I know you're in good hands, so thank you.
So we thought we'd just introduce ourselves just a little bit to help you feel a little bit more comfortable with who we are, that we might have something to share and engage you around. So I thought I'd start with a story. When I was a little girl growing up in Kansas City, I will just let that rest and I won't speak on certain sports events. When I was a girl growing up in Kansas City, I had this dream that I could be a fundraiser. And I thought long and hard. I was, going to bed at night and thinking, are you kidding me? Of course not. No, I did not have a dream of becoming a fundraiser. Nobody dreams about becoming a fundraiser. And I was the kind of kid who was shy enough and self-conscious enough. I couldn't even sell Girl Scout cookies. Like that made me too nervous. So I'm not a natural fundraiser, and yet in some ways have ended up making a career in doing it and helping people learn how to do it. But what I did want to do was, somehow I felt I wanted to make a difference. And there was that kind of theme running through my early career and trying to figure out how to do that. And I found myself working in nonprofits. And if you find yourself working in nonprofits, then you figure out that you need to raise money to do the work that you're trying to do. And so, like probably many people in this room, I became maybe an accidental fundraiser. And in the meantime, I've raised a lot of money for a lot of different kinds of groups. I have raised a lot of money for arts education and arts community center, mostly centered around dance in a neighborhood, working class neighborhood near Washington, D.C., and for a food hub in the Mississippi Delta, for the changes and independent non-governmental activity in Central and Eastern Europe, which brings me to this question of what's a nice person like me doing in a fundraising training like this, and it's really this idea that if I, the reluctant sort of accidental fundraiser, can do it, anybody can do it. And so I'm looking forward to working with you all to help each other learn how to do it better and get more comfortable with what really matters, which is the mission, and be driven by it.
Great. So good morning, everybody. My name's Peter Lane, and I'm also just really thrilled to be here. So many different organizations working on amazing issues, so important. I want to thank Kathy for the wonderful introduction and overview of ICL. I probably couldn't have done it better than you did, so thank you. And the foundation staff, Tim and Carla and Tina, all for their help in getting us here. So I've been with ICL for 16 years, and I came into fundraising sort of through the back door because over those 16 years, I've worked with a lot of different organizations on things like board development and strategic planning and leadership development. And I have to say, always fundraising gets woven in there somewhere, right? It's always present in nonprofit organizations. And so over the years, have really had an opportunity to work with groups, either in those kinds of activities or in our complete fundraiser program, to help them think about what is it that we can do as an organization now, and how do we build our fundraising capacity and our culture of fundraising in our organization into the future. And so that's kind of sort of the approach that we'll have today. Just a couple other words about ICL. As Kathy said, our mission is really to strengthen leaders, organizations, and networks and coalitions that protect the earth. So that's a wide spectrum of groups. We love it when all different kinds of groups are in the room like this, because we do really believe that if we can throw some information out there, or some kind of approach, and then have all of you talk about it and think about how it applies to your organization, is really going to be the most effective way for you to accomplish your goals. On your tables, there is, I put in the center kind of a flyer about ICL. You're welcome to take one of those. You can look at it and leave it, and we'll bring it back and reuse it somewhere else. Part of our work is what we call custom services. So a group comes to us wanting some kind of assistance, and we'll work with them to help them accomplish that. We offer a couple of what we call intensive leadership programs, one for executive directors, and an individual leadership program called Leading from Within. We do each one of those programs every year. They're sort of multi-day, take place over several months. So there's information about those as well. If you're interested in any of those, let me know, and I'll give you more information. The other thing, in your packet, there's a publication on online fundraising. We also do a couple others that you can download from our website, one called The Less Visible Leader for coalitions. A couple others. I brought along a self-assessment for all volunteer groups. I didn't bring one for everybody, but if you give me your card, I'll send this out to you. And same thing, another booklet called Managing in Hard Times. Lots of good practical information. And that's also available for free. So that's my quick pitch. Let me know. I'll leave these in the back if you want to take a look at them, and I'd be glad to send them out to anybody that wants them. Okay, what else did I want to say? I think that's it for now. So let's take a look at what we've got scheduled for the day. For our goals, we want to approach fundraising strategically as organizers, activists, and really, most importantly, as organization builders, right? Like often, fundraising is not just an end in and of itself, right? It's really a means to do a lot of different things. So we want to kind of put that lens over it. This is a really great opportunity to connect with, share, and learn from your colleagues, as Kim said earlier. By the hands up, I know there's lots of experience and expertise in the room. So this is a really good opportunity to connect with each other. And some of the activities that we do today are designed to allow that to happen. And then finally, this is really kind of a celebration, right? Everybody works really hard. It's a great opportunity to come together, to get re-energized, to have some fun, and to do some work and leave here with something practical that we hope will help you with your fundraising in the future. So we're doing that balance between we need to do some work, right? But we also want to have some fun and use this as a time to get re-energized. So let me put the pause button on there and just see if anybody has any questions about where we're headed and the goals for the session. Is anybody in the wrong workshop? This is the time to leave. Okay. In your packet, there's an agenda. It's a rough guideline. We might adjust things as the day goes on. But we're really looking at it as 3 chunks of work. Ready, set, go, fundraise. So this morning we'll do a little bit of introductions. We're going to spend a few minutes looking at like what's the difference between an activist and a fundraiser? How are they alike? What do each bring to this? We're going to also think about organizational readiness, right? Like your organizations are all different in terms of where they are in their development, what their needs are. So we want to spend a few minutes so you have an opportunity to think about, where are we at and what do we need to do to sort of create a good benchmark to get started. Let's see. For the second part on set, we're going to take a look at different fundraising methods and think about priorities. And then probably a topic that's of interest to everybody is how do you do fundraising on a shoestring? We don't have money to do fundraising. So how do you kind of manage that tension between fundraising when you don't have a lot of money to do it? You also have a lot of other stuff to do. And that's going to bring us up through lunch. Actually, it might even bring us to a little bit after lunch. We'll take a break this morning around 10:45, 11 o'clock, a little 15-minute break. And we'll come back and we'll break for lunch at 12:30. This afternoon, because it's a big group and it's just a day, there's lots to cover, we thought we would do something that we're calling a swap meet. So there are probably topics or specific topics you want to discuss with people. And so it could be anything. It could be, we're thinking about hiring somebody or a volunteer to do development work. I want to talk with other people about that. I want to talk about fundraising in a rural area. I want to talk about my board and fundraising. Whatever the sort of issue is that you'd like to spend some focused time talking about. And the way we're going to do that is on everybody's table, there is Post-its, right? Colored Post-its. If you've got a topic, you can write it on here. You can do it now. If something comes up during the course of the sessions, write it on here. During the break, write it on here. And then at lunchtime, Amy and I are going to collect all of them. We're going to do some clumping and organizing. And we're going to create stations here and downstairs where you can go to have those discussions. And we'll provide some guidance on how to focus the discussion. And then we're going to finish up the afternoon. We've got a little action plan for you to do. So you've been here, you've talked to people, hopefully you've learned something. So what? What are you going to do now? And so this is an opportunity for you to kind of think about what you got, what you want to remember, and what you want to do when you leave here. And that's it. I think we'll end around 5 o'clock. And Amy and I will be here, well, during the breaks and that kind of stuff. We're glad to talk to you. Any questions about the agenda? Okay. Let's keep going then. We are going to do some table introductions. So, I know that some of you are here as a team or from the same organization. You're welcome to stick together at your table, but I also want to invite those of you that want to move to another table if you want to kind of network with other people, right? So you're not with your same folks all the time. So if you want to move to another table, now would be the time to do it. But we're going to do some table introductions. So I've got 3 questions. We're going to take about 5 or 10 minutes. Your name, your organization and location, and then I want each person to talk about one organizational accomplishment from the past year. So I want you to do a little bit of bragging, right? Like, I'm really excited about this. This is this awesome project we did. Let everybody know about it. So your name, organization and location, and one accomplishment from the past year. Ready? Go.
So right now I'm learning about this because I want to take the knowledge that I learned. Linda is really the grant writer and has gotten the grants for the Rose Foundation, and I want to take that information and teach it to these people. Yeah. And I told them, well, I happen to be going to the Rose Foundation, convention. I will get as much information as I can, because last year I was so impressed with the people in the room, and everyone was so environmentally, connected. So it's kind of like an umbrella. So I'm not real sure. There's a couple of 501c3s. Two of them that kind of everybody else is under.
We have students from the high school. This year we focused in on the SFA class to provide the student funds too. And they came out, and these are the doers, and these are the learners. And we believe that if you can catch the younger folks that at that teenage year and seed the idea of how to do this, that they, as they grow up, will shed this information and this energy, this positiveness of eating better and making better choices. And even though they go in the college year and everything comes out of the package, when they start feeling bad, they'll go back to organic.
My name is Vanya Kalilovich. I'm from California Indian Environmental Alliance. I just feel it's better if people can see that than me saying it. And so what we do is, beside me, the whole organization is Native Americans from California, and mainly Northern California. So the issues we work on is water quality, and specifically mercury and other toxins in the water, and therefore educating the community or where to fish, where it's cleaner, and what kind of fish to eat. Because besides just being cultural, it is also economic.
It's Tassaronga Park, and there's a rec center there, and it's land that was formerly public housing, and it was declared a brownfield site and redeveloped into like mixed income housing. And so we serve that immediate community almost exclusively. Our CSA, some of our CSA baskets are delivered to Berkeley, but most of the children are from that area. And it's really cool.
A plaza that's modeled after the plaza in La Piedad, Michoacán, where a lot of the people from the community are from, as are my parents, and it's a lot of the folks, as well as the plaza, because we looked at two plazas where the majority of the folks are from, Michoacán and Oaxaca, so we looked at their plaza too. So the plaza has an amphitheater, it has a grassy area, a water fountain, hopefully it'll be buffalo grass, right? And then the plaza area where it's brick with a kiosk for a mariachi or trio or whatever, benches, trees, bike parking and lockers, and we want to install the local transit that circulates throughout the community. We want to set it up so it could stop there. That'll be one of the main stops, or the main stop, like in the core, in the heart of the valley. And put a couple of charging stations, some e-charging stations, which is part of the other work that I'm doing at a more statewide level.
The project that we took on is a relatively large Southern California water agencies proposed building a dam on the Bear River and delivering water to Southern California. We organized locally. We've got virtually every political entity from cities, counties, parks commissions, fish and game commissions, municipal advisory councils, virtually every organization. Unanimous vote of elected officials in opposition to that, which allowed the state of California basically to walk in and the California Resources Department took a firm stand against the project. And within 2 years, the project was dropped. So